Okay, so you might notice this video looks a little different from the last one. I had some issues with the audio and the video on the previous video that I recorded and uploaded, so this is pretty much just a repeat of that. And yes, I did make a whole new character just for that fact. So we're pretty much just going to go over, while we're running over to Zanesville. Did I rename? No, I did not rename it properly this time. Alright, so now we have Captain Derps again. What we're going to go over is your mini-map, your map, things of that nature. So, first off, you're going to notice, obviously, map is huge as a motherfucker. And it does take quite a bit of time to travel across it, especially on a horse. They are actually the slowest mounts in the game. Wish they had a little bit of a speed buff, especially since they don't actually get any roadside benefits. And by what I mean by that is ATVs, bikes, buggies, and cars all get a speed boost whenever they are on anything pertaining to a road. Other than, of course, when you are inside of a town, you will not get the speed boost. So that's a little bit of a downside to horses in general. The Blight Wolf is another option for a mount that is not a vehicle. It's a little faster than a horse, but still, again, slower than vehicles in general. Their little bit of advantage is they can go up any incline, so that's always nice. Alright, so we're just going to go over, we'll say, the strategic map. So we have filters right here, which basically allow you to see what is nearby. So you'll notice if I disable the mining node, it actually disables it on my mini-map, but it does not disable it on my main map. So while you're passing by these nodes on your mini-map and whatnot, if you accidentally turn them off, you will not see them on your mini-map. It does not affect your strategic map. So you can disable certain filters, so that way your screen isn't as clustered by all these icons. I leave them all on just because, but of course you have the option of doing whatever it is. And then there's, of course, filtering the radar only, which then does it for both. Alright, and then of course we're going to go over waypoints that you can set in-game. You can control and right-click. Well, hold on, let me get away from those NPCs first. If you control and right-click on your map, though, whenever you have it open, it'll allow you to place a waypoint. Now, if you know your exact location, obviously you can go to overhead map, which will make it easier for you to click on a location near you. That way you can actually have a waypoint for, say, resources, a certain NPC spawn, or even just having it marked just for shits and giggles. And of course, to be able to access that, you would hit Alt-P, just like so, and you'll be able to remove them, edit them, and create them, which obviously you can make the name, the X and Y coordinates. There is no Z coordinate on waypoints because it does not matter since it's being placed on your map directly, and, well, you don't really travel directly to it, and there's no way to path to it. Or I should say legally, because of the fact that Gamers First does not appreciate third-party programs, so anything that assists you in any way, shape, or form throughout the game other than editing your UI, which pretty much is just a visual aspect, it doesn't give you any advantages other than look and feel. So try to avoid doing any of that. Let me make sure to clear out this tutorial quest as well, because I'm going to Zanesville, so I have no use for anything in Boneclaw. Oh yes, and other little features. You'll notice when I turn, my map spins a little bit. You can hit this little rotating icon here, which is the radar mode, which then sets it to stationary. And then of course you can zoom in and out on your mini-map. I always leave it all the way zoomed out. Sometimes I'll zoom in if I need to see under some kind of icon, but for the most part I leave it zoomed out. To access your strategic map, you just hit M, or you can hit your strategic map button that is located on your minimap. So there's two options right there. And I'm probably going to try and do this in one video. The last time I did it in two. So we're just going to try and pretty much rush through this since I've already done this before. And for the most part, I only really cover the minimap. Once we get over to Oilville, I will show you a nice little resource spawn for when you need horse feed for your horse, which is very useful for new players. For players that already have a character and they're making an alt, generally they're going to give themselves a motorcycle just for the fact that it's fast. It's quite effective in terms of economy-wise once you actually have some chips. On a new character, though, obviously you're going to be hurting on chips a little bit. By the time you finish most of the missions in any town and buying, like, say, armor recipes and your weapon recipes, you'll have about 11 blue, 15 blue, depending on what you do. And then, of course, if you've sold anything on the auction house, if you find something that might sell for a decent amount. For example, the shoes that I mentioned earlier that some people might want to buy. Sometimes people will buy the LifeNet gear as well. It really depends on the situation. Oh, and you'll also notice I do keep this little menu up here always on, just because. And you can filter to show what these icons are up here. I just leave it as default, just because. Your attributes, Bloodsport. Bloodsports is pretty nice. You can't do it until level 5. I will most likely, once I hit around, I'd say 5 to 9, I'll go ahead and go into Bloodsports just to show you it, if there's any queued up. If there's not, I'll just show it in another video, most likely on my main character. And then, of course, you have all your options here in terms of what you want to set up. You can see like what your mounts are. Obviously your pack, in case like say you forget what the hotkeys are, which you can change them under option. And then of course your key mapping, which you can change pretty much any key mapping. I know there's another place to change key mapping directly, so you don't actually have to be in game, but pretty much depends on what you want to do there. You will notice the old nag kind of runs out of stamina pretty quick. Once you upgrade your horse, it's not as bad, which I will show you how to be able to upgrade your horse. But sadly, Captain Derps, I will have to murder him by the time I get into Zanesville, or at least some point at Zanesville. You also notice I'm kind of ignoring all the nodes around the map. Normally I would go around collecting them, but since I'm so far away from a newbie zone, such as Boneclaw, Midway, Odenvale, it's Odenville, not Vale, Zanesville, Depot 66, they're all too high for my character to harvest. So when I get closer to Zanesville, I'll probably harvest a few nature nodes. And I'm going to show you why once I pass through Zanesville. Which actually brings us to our first travel point I'm going to show you in the video. Fast travel points are used to be able to travel from point to point of the map based on if there's a fast travel there. Pretty much major cities have fast travels. There are some sectors where there's a huge amount of land where you will not have a fast travel, which is a little aggravating in some senses. Like as you can see, you have this huge amount of area over here. Burnside. A little bit of an issue there. It gets a lot better when you get farther into the maps. So Sector 3, Deadfall, Alpha County. Terminal Woods is pretty spread out, but it's actually much smaller than a majority of maps. But you definitely want to get fast travels if you want to go around the world. So try to make sure you pick those up anytime you can. Do not ignore them. And if you do ignore them, well, if you want to come back here, it's one hell of a run, so have fun with that. And sometimes people come to Sector 1 to recruit after they've played the game for a while. They'll go to Sector 2 as well, so you might want to go back, maybe you might want to help a friend that started the game and you want to get him stuff instead of just mailing it to him, because in this game you can follow a character around and pretty much just heal them, and it's actually very, very easy for them to go ahead and go through all the quests like we're doing here, except obviously I'm doing it solo. And even though I do have a main character, I am not planning to send anything from my main to this character. However, I will show you benefits of the marketplace at some point in time, just for the simple fact that it does unlock chip cap, and that alone is more than enough for me to want to get it. It also unlocks 4 character slots when you get your first item from the marketplace. And for the most part, it's generally $25 to increase your character slots, because I'm on a free-to-play account right now. I only have 1, and I have a few limitations. It doesn't actually limit you from being able to explore the game. It doesn't limit you on what your character can do or anything like that. Oh, I should feed my horse. But all it does is make it so that you might want to just get that for the chip expansion and everything else, so it just helps you out later in the game. You don't want to be that guy that is on a free-to-play account, you're at end game, you played this game for like 3 months, and then you realize you can't buy something you want, or you can't keep farming your chips because you're capped out at 10 red. Which you can see the chips down here, yellow being the highest, then red, then blue, then white. But since we are at the harvesting spot I was speaking about, at Oilville, just over to the northeast of it, there's this little farmland here. Gives you some vegetables. The fruit doesn't really matter, but the vegetables are really nice for whenever you want to make fodder. Not fodder, horse feed, same difference. And then of course you have grains over here. So it's actually very easy to collect a bunch of them to be able to make horse feed, so that way while you're playing your new character, or even if you just want to have a Sector 1 character and you want to dick around, it's very easy to have a horse to travel around and not have to deal with the whole fact of what if I run out of gas, what if I don't have enough chips. You'll always have horse feed. Later on in the game though, you'll pretty much be able to be self-sufficient in terms of your fuel and everything else, as long as you do everything right. So you shouldn't have an issue there. But back on to the first time buy. As I was saying, you're able to unlock more character slots. It's normally $25. However, if you have a free-to-play account and you buy something, or you get enough G1C to purchase anything on the marketplace through the surveys, which I personally don't take the time to do because attempted it long ago and they just never work for me. So I don't have the patience for them. But I mean, you could spend $10, get a Badland Rider. That's always nice. It's a very, very, very efficient bike when it comes to fuel. You can ride that thing for like 2 weeks and never run out of gas. You could also get a Commander's kit, so that way you don't have all these damn heavy kits in your inventory, which is really nice if you're a crafter. And you also increase your crafting queues by 2. I mean, literally, if you spend $5, you're pretty much getting around 100 to 2. Well, I think it's $100 to $120 worth of content, because you get a bunch of consumables as well that boost experience, faction game, which I will go over the faction system at one video, most likely either when I hit 15 or when I feel like going to Sector 2. DT gains, which on this character we can't get death toll at the moment because we are not level 5, but it's used to purchase items so you can get death toll weaponry along with armor. Sadly, those aren't as equivalent to the new armor and weapons, which I will show on my main in another video. But for the most part, death toll is really nice up until end game. So if you want to go ahead and join the game and you want to play the instance PvP blood sports, you can farm quite a bit, get some of the newbie blood sports gear, and it actually will be quite sufficient for a long while. But I will warn a rifle user though, because the rifles are very weak compared to the melee and pistol versions in the DT vendor, because they give us a light assault rifle rather than giving us a shotgun or a sniper rifle or a battle rifle. So rifle users got a little gypped there. As you can see, we're almost at Zanesville, so once I get to the LifeNet, I'm going to stop the video and we're going to start another one so I can show you to go through Zanesville. I've already done this one time before because of lag issues with the video and issues with the audio, so that was a little frustrating, but you know, I don't feel like having the video stutter for you guys if you want to watch this, so I'm just going to go ahead, get into LifeNet, start another video, and hopefully this one actually won't have any issues with any lag. I don't seem to be lagging that bad, so there shouldn't be too much stuttering of any kind. If there is, well, I'll most likely end up doing this again. As frustrating as that is, but it's mostly because Fallen Earth takes up a lot of resources, and while you're recording, remember, turn the settings down whenever you're recording. It can eat up a lot of memory, and for some computers, it's not even worth you trying to record. So be very careful about doing all that. Alright, we're just going to grab these 2 missions just so they're started. Looks like I am bugged. Reward not ready. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll go ahead and start the other video. I actually have not received an issue like that before, but that's okay. I'll most likely be able to just log out of my character and then back in and start the next video. Alright, take care.